Tonight is one of my favorite nights. I'm very excited. This is a good evening tonight. We're going to teach you a lot of great stuff, get to talk about eliminating debt and some savings. We're going to do a role play for you, kind of show you how all this works, but we're going to have a great time tonight. But let's go ahead and start by opening up in prayer. Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you for this evening, for this beautiful day. For those people that couldn't make it tonight, Lord, we just hope that everything is okay in their lives and that tonight you'd be with us as we talk about the managing of this resource that you've given us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, this is so cool. All right, we're going to have a good time this evening. Let's do a homework review because we've got to start there before we break out. And we'll go into doing a role play for you in just a little bit. First of all, money dates. Are they important?
Yes.
They are critical. Communication must happen. Again, if you are not in a relationship, you must get yourself an accountability partner to help keep you on track. Never forget this. I want the term money date to become part of your vernacular for the rest of your life. Okay? I asked you to type out your budget sheet and put it in the front of your binder. Please take those out. All right. Now, some of you have shared with me that you're a little bit behind. That's all right. It's okay to be that way. I told you at the beginning of this class that this is going to be pretty fast-paced and it's not going to be easy. Did I lie to anybody? No, right? It takes time to get this thing narrowed down. Now remember, when you're done with this class, it doesn't mean you're done. I know that you're going to need some help, so like most of you have done, pick up the phone, give me a call. We're going to sit down and I'm going to help you through this. But for right now, you're getting together the foundation to be able to build on. So let's talk a little bit about this budget. First of all, by show of hands, how many of you did get it in place? Honest people in the room. How many of you did get it in place? Good. Was it easy?
No.
It took time, didn't it? It took time. I'm hoping that that was your money date or part of your money date. And I guarantee you there might have been some little bit of tension going through all the money. Sometimes that happens. But my friends, that one form that you have is the form that you refer to for every single payday in looking at where your money goes. It's that important. And as Karen shared with you last week, what I want you to do is whenever something changes, like you get a pay raise or you end up buying something or anything that happens in your life, all you got to do is change that one form to adjust income or outflow. Just adjust it. The thing you have to remember is your net spendable income always stays the same. Your net spendable income. So if I take some money from one category to put in another category, I just have to do the math and adjust. Questions about that? Okay. All right, category ledger pages and place them in the binder. So open up your book, your 3-ring binder, and let's take a look at your categories. All right, now, the information that you use to fill out these category ledger pages came off your budget analysis worksheet. Does anybody remember what the important question was on the budget analysis worksheet? What was that? What needs to change? Okay, what needs to change? So you looked at the information that you had from your snapshot, asked yourself what needs to change, you made the adjustments, and that new number is the number that you're using on these category ledger pages, whatever amount that might be. So you should have the category, when it comes out, what pay period that comes out, whether it's the first or second payday, or both, you can do it any way that you want, and the annual expense on how much is coming out. So that's your starting point. Now you just use that form just like you do a bank ledger or checkbook ledger, where you just write down money going in and money coming out. And it's easy to do. And again, we're going to have our book here for you to refer to. Talk to me about that. Did anybody have any questions about the category ledger pages? Any conflicts or problems, anything? Is it smooth? Go ahead, Elaine.
I actually haven't looked at yours, but I don't understand the purpose behind having the master category ledger page with the subcategories behind it.
Okay, the great question. She said that. She didn't understand why we have the master one. I'm going to use housing as an example. And then below it, you have the subcategories. The reason is is because when you think about the major heading, for example, if I said automotive, the first thing that comes to mind is the payment. Housing, the first thing that comes to your attention is going to be the rent or the mortgage. But there's more to it. There's so much more to each of those categories. And we need to be more defined so that we don't overspend in any one area. For example, in housing, you look at that whole category, you might be spending more than you want for your electric bill or your gas bill or your cell phone. Anything in those categories, by breaking them down, it'll help you be able to not spend as much and to pay attention, so whenever you have to make an adjustment, you can do that.
I think what she's thinking is that she has a category ledger page that says housing, and then behind that category ledger page is electric and everything else. You don't need the general one for housing. The housing one is actually the tab on the outside. And the category
is that what you were saying?
And the category ledger pages are going behind the tab.
That's why I keep her around, ladies and gentlemen. She keeps me straight. Yeah, you don't need a category ledger page that says housing or automotive, because that's the plastic tab that you already have on there. It's just the subcategories below it. I'm sorry, Elaine. I get my mind going in one direction. It's hard to stop that train, but that's a great question.
Also, for those that are being automatically deducted,
Correct.
you need a ledger page for that.
You can or you cannot, whichever you're more comfortable with. We found that it was very redundant because you have it on your typed out thing. It says automatic bank draft, so you know it never changes. It's the same amount. So we did it for a while and then realized it was a waste of paper because we were just writing down what was already out. So it was the same. Like internet is the same every month. Netflix is the same every month. So I don't have a page for that. And I don't even have a page for the electric or the gas or the water because they're the same because we're on budget billing. So, but we did start that way and then realized it didn't work well. But for some people, they like that to remind themselves that it got paid.
Yeah, it's completely up to you, but we don't want it too much. It makes it too much work. It's just tedious to show the same amount going in and coming out. It's just a paperwork exercise to do that. Yes, Pamela.
My comment was, I just want to make sure it's done, and so
Right.
I do that.
Right, so
Right.
Pamela chooses to do that. She chooses to write it down. We call it a wash category, where it's the same going in and coming out every single time. But a lot of people like to write that down, and there is nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Whatever works for you is what I want you to do. All right, whatever works for you. All right, other comments about the category ledger pages? Doing all right? Yes, go ahead, Janelle.
I just had a question about the budget. That was the hardest for me to do so far, the one sheet that goes in the front. Because we were working on it and ours got really long.
Yeah.
Yep.
You might have a second page.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had it. Yeah, absolutely.
Janelle's comment was, hers got really long doing the budget form that goes in the front of the binder. Is that okay? Absolutely. Ours has gone from long to shorter, just depends on what's going on in your life. I really believe that you cannot be too detailed when you first start. You need to be more detailed than you usually are, and then as you get used to the process, you'll be able to make little cuts and know where things are going to go. Probably have less paperwork, but it's perfectly all right to have additional pages.
So one more question to
Yeah.
that, because we put on our debt part something that we're paying almost off like in a month.
Okay.
So after we pay that off, do we go back and then get to find a place where to put the money?
Okay, which category was it?
It's for debt.
Okay, for debt. So Janelle, you're getting ready to pay off a debt.
Yes.
And the question is, after that's paid off, what do you do with that money?
Yes.
What do you think the answer is, class? What do you think? Pamela?
Snowball.
The next
Savings.
Okay, it could be savings,
Or to put it on the next day.
or to put it on the next debt, because we're going to talk about that tonight. To be able to reduce debt, called the Snowball system. We're going to talk about that tonight. The answer is not to take that, put it all into entertainment, unless that's where you need it. You know, you want to be able to make adjustments. But
Gifts,
you're exactly
gifts.
right in your thought process, because you're asking the right question. Okay, I'm going to retire this debt. I'm going to pay that debt off. What do I do with that money? And it's going to be a decision that you have to make based on your experience on where you're at. The correct answer is probably, if you have more debt, to roll that down to the next debt. And you'll see that tonight in class. Okay, other comments? All right. Okay, now remember, one category ledger page for each category and each subcategory, all right? So food, as an example, is a main category, right? But because it's all by itself, that one will have one ledger page in it, just for food. But if it's got a bunch of subcategories, you don't need to put one in like we talked about for housing, okay? Everybody good on that? All right, great. Okay, here's the big question. Are you tracking your spending daily and entering the figures on the appropriate category ledger page? Yes or no? Show of hands. Honest people in the room. Are you doing it? Show your hands. All right. I'm going to say, okay, William, you're working on it. Good man. All right. Now, please understand, it is the foundational action to making this whole thing work. And you have to build the habit. So you've got to do it starting tonight on your way home. You can stop in. Everybody go to Dairy Queen, get a cone, write it down. Let's start the habit somewhere, but you have got to do it, guys. You've got to do it. Please understand, if you don't, then in 3 weeks you're going to be going, well, this isn't working. It works if you work, and you have to apply that. All you got to do is learn how to make it happen. It's a simple thing. But you got to start somewhere, all right? So I'm going to hold you accountable, make sure that you do it. All right, cash envelope file. Let me see them. Okay, good. We went and bought one at Walmart last night because we wore ours out. It was how much?
$1.97.
$1.97 at Walmart. Can't beat that, you know, except for Dollar Store.
There you go.
Dollar Store, $1. Okay, you beat it up. Okay, William, good.
Now yours is pretty, Mary Jo. Yours is very pretty.
Ooh, that's a lot. That's a pretty one right there. That's
There
a
you
good
go.
one. All right, let's talk about what categories you think you're going to do in cash. Somebody tell me. Give me a category you're going to do in cash.
Food.
Okay, food category for Pamela. What else?
Gas?
Oh, good. Okay, good. Doing the gas one. Good. What else?
Pets.
Pets?
Pets.
Good deal. Pets, that's a good one. I don't care which ones you do, but if it is an area that you struggle with in maintaining the proper balance in your budget, you should do it in cash. Believe me, it works 100% of the time. Yes, ma'am.
So Costco doesn't take cash, and that's where I guess that. So we just cash.
Oh, if you'd like to do that, that's fine. Is there a charge for that? Okay, so you just use a cash card for it. When it's gone, it's gone. And what led you to do that rather than just carrying a few dollars in cash?
Because Costco doesn't, the gas at Costco is not.
Oh, they don't use cash. Okay, so for Costco. I see. Good. Good idea. Good plan. All right, what else? Anybody else? Is your hand up or are you just wiggling it? If you would have been in an auction, you'd have bought. Sold $3 million. Okay, you just bought that one. Chris?
Well, dining out, which I see as separate from food.
Absolutely. Two separate categories, food and dining out, always separate. We choose to do our dining out one as well in that fashion. All right, so it sounds like you got a plan. That's what matters. All right, Karen and I are going to show you how a money date works for us. We're going to give you some new concepts and some ideas about how this is going to look. Now, remember, every payday is a money date day. Every payday. You organize the following. You get your budget binder. I recommend putting it up on the refrigerator, okay? Or if you're struggling and writing things down every day, put it in front of your television set where it'll block your view till you write the stuff down, all right? If you want me to, give me a list of your phone numbers. I'll call you every night at 6 and say, did you write it down? No, I won't be doing that. But. All right, you want to get a calculator, some pencils, cash if you're using that, and a cash envelope file. Now, I'm going to show you a couple things here on this screen. One of these is this. I'll show it to you in just a moment. But what Karen and I are going to do is we're going to go back here to the back, and I want all of you to gather around.
The first thing I wanted to just show you really quick is this is our dining out envelope that stays in my purse most of the time. And there's a lot of things in there. Of course, there's the leftover money, which isn't much till we put some money in there. But also I kept, whenever I got gift cards, I kept it in here so that it was easy to access. And then I kept tell me how much balance is on there. So I love it when people give me Starbucks, 'cause I don't go to Starbucks unless you give me a gift card, because I'm not paying that money. So I keep that in there. Anything that's pertinent to eating out, I keep in there too. And I keep it in my purse because that way Mike has to take me with him if he's going out to eat.
Go figure. It's a plan. You know, it's a plan.
And it being in your purse, this gets a little mushy pretty quick, so you'll be changing this envelope fairly often.
That's why I've been married 38 years, right? It works out well because I know exactly what to do. All right, my friends, let's talk about this a little bit. So today is a payday, all right? Now, we just got back in town. We know what we have to do. So what we do is we said, all right, we're going to have a money date. So we talked about it. I grabbed out of here. I go up and I grab this off the top of my refrigerator. This is the Bible, if you will, of what you're going to do financially. That's what you're going to use, right? So I open this thing up and I take out, this is our second payday, so I take this budget out of the front. Remember, this is the key to what you want to be able to use. It tells you exactly what's going to happen, how much money goes into each category. This keeps it so simple. You don't have to guess about anything, all right? Okay, so I take this out, I put it in front of me. Now notice, I've gathered a calculator, I've got a pencil, an eraser, we've got some cash. So Karen sent me to the bank today because one of us has to go, and we know how much money we have to get in cash. So, and that's written down on here, so please make sure that you take a look at this. So our cash for envelopes in this case was $526 for the second payday. Second payday. I don't know what yours will be. Depends on how many categories that you have, all right? Okay, so now I went to the bank, and they all know us at the credit union,
They do.
all right? Because we come in there, and we're always getting questions about, how does that budgeting thing work? What goes on? They understand it. So today is the second payday. It's Karen's second payday. In my wallet and in her purse, we have a very small little piece of paper, and it says, all right, Karen got paid. In the envelopes, we're going to put $525. And we have it broken down by denomination. So it says I need 3 100s, 3 50s, 3 20s, and 3 5s. You'll be able to figure that out because you know how much is going in each envelope, right? So I hand it to them. I say, this is what I need. And they go, okay, and they give it to me, and it's simple. It just takes a couple seconds. I take that money, I put it in one of these little envelopes that they give us, and then I wait for Karen, so we do this together. It's very important you do this together, all right? Now, let's pretend that we're at home. So tonight would have been a money date night. She gets home, we have dinner. I say, would you like to do the money date now? She'll say yes, or she'll say no. You can wait a day if you need to, if you had a bad day, whatever. But usually we do it on that day. So we sit down together, and then Karen, I am responsible for this. My job is to upkeep this 3-ring binder. And I recommend that if you're in a relationship, you have somebody that's their job and somebody that puts the cash in. So this is the second payday right here. So what I'll start with is I'll go down through here and I'll look for things that are cash as an example. But as I get ready to do that, let me show you something else. If you can just look around at the screen here for just a moment. Now on my laptop right here, I have got that screen. Now we are members of a credit union here in town. Now our credit union allows us to create separate savings accounts, a bunch of them. Guess what? We put money in there instead of cash envelopes. So if I looked at auto repair, right now I have $416.02 in auto repair, right? If I come down here and I look at medical, or if I look at homeowners insurance or tax preparation, you see, we've got all that right here in front of us, and we can keep track of that. So let me give you some advice. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Does that cost money extra?
No,
No.
it does not. It's free. It's absolutely free to do, and it makes things very simple. You don't have to do this, but oh my gosh, if you have the capability, why not use something simple to make that happen, right?
And these accounts, there's no minimum balance. They can sit at 0. It doesn't matter. There's no minimum balance to them at all. And you can label them for whatever name you want to call them so that you know what they are. Now, I would love to say that we've been doing this forever, but we just discovered this
Right.
about 3 months ago. So we've gotten good at it ourselves.
So let me tell you what we did. Before we discovered this, our cash envelope thing was like an accordion. It was this big. We had all kinds of cash in there because we were a mess when it comes to finances years ago. We're out of that now. But we had everything inside here. So Karen and I thought we're doing just great. So we started thinking about how much money we have in this. So I thought, well, you know, we probably have $3,000 in there in cash sitting at the house. And we added it up. Oh my gosh. We had all kinds of money in there. We were out of our minds.
We were.
So we went to the bank and we said, look, do you have something that'll help us? I said, hey, look, we got this fancy thing here. The SS stands for something. What does it stand for?
It stands for Sub Savers.
Sub Savers. There you go.
And, you know, and actually there's a number assigned to them. And when you get your statement, it'll show the numbers exactly. And so we always keep, on this, when we get the statement, we have to keep a list of what the names are because we can't remember what the numbers are. We just go by the names.
Exactly.
But that really helps when we get the statements to make sure.
Dorothy?
Is it a particular credit union?
We go to New Mexico Educators, but there's probably someone, but they are so helpful, you know, and here I am advertising and they're not even paying me, but that's okay. Pamela?
Mountain America does as well.
Mountain America. I find that
Does it also.
very good. So guys, you've got this opportunity to make this happen, okay? All right, so Karen and I sit down. We're having our money date. I take this thing out. My job is to go down this list and make sure this is current, all right? So I go down to this. Anything that is paid for by check, I just take a look at. I don't have to worry about that right now because we're going to do that in that fashion. And then we've got tax preparation. Should we start there?
Okay.
Okay, so I go to tax preparation. So I flip this page over here. Remember, that's one that's not one of our main categories. But I look at this, and in tax preparation, second payday, it's SS12, which we don't see on the, oh yeah, we do. You see tax preparation up there, second one from the bottom. Right there, okay? So I have $196 in there. Because it's in a savings account, it gets a little bit of interest. So you see the penny? Not a big deal. It's part of our retirement plan. We got an extra penny in there, okay? But we've got that 196. If you look at, Wendy, what does that say right there? What does that say?
196?
196. You see, this book matches those numbers exactly without the little bit of change that I get, all right? This reflects that to the penny. That's why this works so well, because we know how much money is going to be in there.
What's nice about it is that now your checking isn't growing with all this money in there, and it stops you from going, oh, I've got $600 in checking. Let's go do this. When instead you look at your sub accounts, going, oh, I got $27 in home repairs. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to buy paint for the house today. I'm going to wait till we put money in there next. Whereas if I was looking at my checking account, I'd be like, well, let's go get paint. We got $600 in there. So it pulls it out of the checking and puts it into subcategories, which really helps keep your checking from being huge.
Once you go to this, you'll never go back, my friends. You'll never go back. So, Karen, right now, we've got money in the checking account, right? But we need to move it out of that checking account and put it in this subcategory. That's where this computer comes in. That's where it comes in. So, if you look at the screen, and if this will advance, which right now, there it is. This is an example. We can hit the transfer button.
But if you move back,
Let me go back and I'll show you the transfer button if I can get this thing to move. There we go. You see up here at the top it says make a transfer. I click on that, very simple. It'll allow me to move within any of these categories. When I do that, I just pick the category I want to move from. Let's say I want to move a little bit of money from auto repair to vehicle insurance, and let's say that's $54. I can just make the transfer. So I can move money within these categories that quick using this computer. That quick. It's simple. So now Karen's going to go in there and do that. Right now we just got timed out, so we'll deal with that. That's okay. But she'll just go in and just do the transfer, move $40 from checking into the tax account here. It'll show it on there after we've done the transfer, and I write down in here exactly how much the transfer was. So I'll say, all right, on 9/1, we're going to do a deposit of $40, and now it will show up there. It's not going to do it right now, but it'll show it up there. 196 plus 40, and I always use the calculator because I don't want to make a mistake. I think I can do it without it. And then I write down that I have $236 in that particular section of our budget.
Where's your phone, babe?
It's on the podium, sweetie. Does that make sense, my friends? To do that, to just transfer the money? It's easy, isn't it? Okay, now, yes, ma'am.
I understand what you just said.
Okay.
And I'm hearing, like, you moved from one category to another. I thought that was like borrowing.
No, it's not. In fact, there are times when you can look at something and say, we choose to move from one soft category to another. And this is just an example. Once you get your budget in place, you won't have to worry about it because your change is so minor. I just use these two figures to show you. I couldn't put the checking one up there, it wouldn't let me do that. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's how you handle this area of the budget. Okay, so let me go on right here. Oops, I'm sorry. Let me back that up. All right. Now, so you see these different categories. These are just like envelopes that you have. You could have them all, if you did all the money in cash in an envelope, that's exactly what it would look like. So we're going to go ahead and Karen would have done this move right here with the tax preparation to move that from checking into here. I write it down on this form, right in the ledger page. We verify that it is correct together, that it works. So then I go right back to this form. This is our budget, remember? So now I continue down here, and now I've got some things that are by check, but they're a wash. Remember we talked about those just a few minutes ago. So electric, gas, and water, we do not have a category ledger page under the housing category for that because it's the same every single month. If it was different every month, I didn't have balanced budgeting, then I would go ahead and have that written in there. Questions? Okay. All right. So we come down here, and now I'm going to look for, give you an example of an envelope, all right? So we're going to go to the automotive category. Okay.
Big $9 in there, gas.
We have $9 in there. Pamela, how much does it say I got in there?
$9.
$9, okay? I cannot overemphasize the fact that by doing this together and paying attention to what we have here, we are always correct in the amount that we have in here. So we have $9. So today is the second payday. We're going to put $250 in the cash envelope. I'm a missionary. We do a lot of traveling, so it's our gas bill is a little bit high. So we're going to put $250 in there. So if I write down in the book, today's the second.
Yep.
I write down deposit on my category ledger page. I write in the deposit category $250. And if I do the math right, $250 plus 9, a little help here, William. $259, you are the man. All right, we're in there, we're ready. Okay, so we know how much money we have. So that is physical money that goes in that envelope. Could we have done it in that category up there? Could we have done another category for that? Sure. It's whatever works for you, my friends. It's whatever works for you. So together, when we first started this 8 years ago, when we first started building this program, let me tell you, these money dates took time. We're trying to figure things out. We didn't have a template. We didn't know what we were doing. And we're going, well, let's put this much in there. But now there's a form for you to follow. Our money dates on paydays take us about 20 minutes. Our in-between money dates, when we're talking about spending or saving or whatever it might be, that's a couple minutes of time in the car or just chatting back and forth because we know what this 3-ring binder has in it. We both understand the system on how it works. It's not rocket science, my friends. It's a 3-ring binder with some ledger pages in it. Yes, it's going to take you some time to set up, but it's going to work for you. All right, so Karen is handling anything electronic via the computer at home. We sit down together and do it.
I have a nice little notebook. It's much smaller than Mike's computer here.
Yeah,
and it
it's a big
doesn't
one.
time out.
That's right. And then we just go through here on every single thing. Once we put money in to the categories, we verify together. I'll say, okay, Karen, you should have in that account $100. Is that what you show? Yes. Okay, good. Let's go on to the next one. We are confirming things together. That way there's virtually no mistakes. Does that mean we never make a mistake? Mainly Karen, yeah, no, she doesn't. Mainly oh boy, I better not go there.
It's a good thing our anniversary's over with.
Man, I'll tell you. You got to remember that sometimes things happen.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it happens. But believe me, it's no biggie because you catch yourself so quickly in doing this. So guys, if you haven't looked at this setup yet, do that. Take a look. It's important that you do this together. If you're by yourself, pay attention to the details, okay? Pay attention to the details. Now remember, if we, for example, remember we talked last week about why we have these tabs in here. So insurances, right here's my progressive insurance right here. I have records in here that keep me on track. At the top of different categories, and since I talked about insurance, for the insurance, I write down exactly what my account numbers are. This is a reference for everything financial for you. And guess what? It's right at the tip of your fingers. You can get to it that quick and know exactly what's going on. When my insurance goes up for some reason, which it does because we live here and sometimes the insurance just goes up, and I call Progressive to challenge this, I can tell them exactly how much it's gone up every year or how much it's changed. I want to know why, but that information's right here in front of me. Makes them crazy because I got all the data, probably before they get it on their computer, because it's right in front of me.
Yeah. And you know what? Sadly, the answer is why has this gone up $54 from last year? Because you live in New Mexico? Ugh.
They told us that so many people are uninsured motorists out here, and it creates a lot of problem. And they also said that Florida's another big area.
There's 3
Arizona.
states that are big insurances, and unfortunately, we're one of them.
We're one of them, so we just have to. But it doesn't mean I don't call and give them grief. You know, I want to challenge everything, and they've helped me at different times. So, my friends, please understand everything that we have done over the last couple weeks. The hard work of being able to figure out where your money's going and what you're doing in this binder, now is the time when we start making it work and you start using it actively. Now, I know this, I don't even need a show of hands. Right now you're going, whew, this is a lot of work, right? You didn't expect that week 1. And that's because most financial budgeting classes, they tell you this is going to be easy. It's a piece of cake, yeah, just get on a budget. If it was that easy, nobody'd have a financial worry, would they? But this is more work and it takes some time. But I'll tell you this, it works. It works. And you've got a safety net because Karen and I are here to help you anytime that you need it, okay?
And
please, go ahead, sweetie.
The last thing I wanted before you close is we went on vacation and we knew we had the plane flight and the motel and everything was already paid for. So we knew we just needed our spending money. And like we joke about, you either eat in Vegas or you gamble in Vegas, but you don't do both. So we decided eating was more appropriate.
Because we don't gamble.
Because we don't gamble. $30 for 4 days. I think I did all right. So anyway, we just kind of wrote down, we had all the receipts, but we just kind of wrote down, you don't have to really keep the receipts for very long, just so you have an idea. So what I'm going to do, and we put it on the Visa card because we want the frequent flyer miles, but I also knew I had $690 in the travel account to spend. That was it. So we bought our Beatles Love tickets, and that was $198. Ooh, that's why you go to one show over there. We went and ate at the Rainforest Cafe, which is another place to eat that's big.
One time,
$85. And then we totaled up all the receipts, and between souvenirs and eating and going to little shows and stuff like that, that came up to $385. So we had $668, which I'm just going to go on the computer and move it from the savings account to the Visa card, and it's done. It's paid for.
Travel account.
From the travel
account.
We have a savings travel account that we set money aside just for our vacations. So now I've got it, and my trip is done, and I don't have this bill coming later and later and later.
Yes.
So they don't care how many times you transfer to your...
Doesn't matter. You can do it. We could spend a whole evening doing that. What a joy that would be. We could do it as many times as we want. We'll get a pizza and have a good time. But they don't care.
No, they don't care.
And that's the nice thing about doing this. Now, banking institutions are different. Credit unions are different. You get 6 at a bank. So I encourage you, if right now you're working with a bank, no names, but if you're working with a bank, consider a credit union where it's a not-for-profit organization that is there and you're a member of that organization. So please consider that as part of your financial changes that you're getting ready to make. There's a benefit to that. Now, another thing I want to just point out, we kept all these receipts because we knew how much money we had to spend, all right? My friends, understand this. We never pay a credit card bill. We never go into debt because everything is pre-planned. That's what you're doing with this budgeting process is you're putting away money to take care of future expenses. So we knew we could go there and have a nice time within reason based on the budget. And when we got home, I wasn't stressing, Karen wasn't stressing. We took care of it, we got it paid off, and we had a nice time away. Isn't that nice to not have to worry about the upcoming bills?
And we also knew like the rainforest was going to be our one big expense because it's pricey. And so we knew that was going to be our one, and the rest of the time it was Wendy's and it was McDonald's.
Denny's,
and
we went to Denny's.
We had breakfast at Denny's instead of eating at the hotel restaurant. You know, so we just when you know how much you have to work with, you just That way it kept you from stepping out into trouble. Going, let's eat at this restaurant in the hotel because the hotel ones are pricey.
Yeah, it was.
If you like to eat pricey, well, then you just make sure you have more money in your account when you go.
You set the priority. Chris?
I had two questions. First of all, after those posts on your Visa and you've checked your receipts against your Visa statement, do you discard these?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
The only receipts that we ever keep are ones that are warranty items or things we may return. Otherwise, we throw them away. And to be honest with you, we did this to demonstrate to you how we make that work. But we knew going in, because we've been doing this so long, we knew how much we had to spend, and we just knew we weren't going stupid and making mistakes.
My second question is, did you have to actually go physically into the bank to set up those categories?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
set those things? Okay.
Yeah, we had to go into the bank, go up and sign up at the service desk at the credit union. Had to wait a couple minutes when it sat down, but they were so helpful.
That was so
They let
fast.
us name it whatever we wanted to, and it was very, very simple, my friends. And we've got, how many do we have?
I think we have about 12.
We could have had more.
We have a friend who has 17.
Right.
And he actually, I would love to say that we discovered this, but he was the one who actually discovered it and said, you know, you can have
bet.
subcategories. And we were like, really? So
Now we learned. We
so we
learned
went,
how to
okay.
do that. So take advantage of that. Look for opportunities to make this thing work.
So if you are not an all-cash person, then these subcategories may be the way to go for you, and that way it stays
Right.
in the bank.
And it's safe there.
So are you, how do you guys feel about automatic bill pay through the credit union, and it just comes out of that subcategory?
You bet. If
automatically?
it works for you, that's good.
Is that okay?
One of the things you got to be careful of, though, whenever things happen automatically, is you may not pay as close of attention to what money's going out because it just happens. So for many people, us included, it's better for us to pay attention to the dollars and pay it ourselves so that we can evaluate, say, you know, that seems like a lot of money. But when we're set up on bill pay, oh, just pay it. But then we're not evaluating our budget, and we had to watch
Grab me
that.
those papers out of there.
So this one?
Yeah, those. These are. I just mailed off our budget billing one, but the reason I wanted to show you these is the reason why we like to. I kind of like doing a few checks.
Show
This
the
is one of
screen,
them. It is. This was the P&M. No, that's the gas. Okay, here's P&M's. And P&M's was $113, and the interesting thing was, you know, we spent $175.94 in electric last month, but I still only paid $113. That's all I had to pay.
Budget billing.
Budget billing. But I
Same
also
amount.
had a $14.92 credit at the end of August, because that's the time that they go over once a year for us. So they sent us the note on here, and it says your new budget billing payment amount of $107, so it went down from $113 to $107, will take effect in September. So if I don't remember to change my automatic bank draft, it's still going to go 130. So I kind of like to touch a few things along there. The other two still stayed exactly the same, but that was okay. And this is the gas bill. We pay $46. I only used $21.80, but I still have on here. I still owe $51.59. That was from last winter when we built up this credit there. And so I still owe, but it doesn't matter because I still pay $46, and the next time this number will be down about $26, and then I'll still be paying $46, so it won't matter. So this is just a good month to show you that sometimes you have a credit and sometimes you don't, but your amount stays exactly the same. It doesn't matter, and that makes life so much easier.
And I'll go this far. If you're not on budget billing, go get it. Go get it. It just makes your life easier.
And you can even do water if you live in Albuquerque, but you can't do it in Rio Rancho. And you can't, of course, you probably won't do New Mexico gas if you live in East Mountain because you probably have propane.
Yes, ma'am.
So with the bill pay, it doesn't have to be auto, right? You can set them up.
Yes, you can do it yourself.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You can do it yourself, yeah.
You can still set it up.
You
Absolutely.
can set bill pay to an automatic, or you can do it where you still go in and do it every month, and that would be just as easy.
Other questions? Yes.
When you go to your ATM, it's broken down in separate categories there. Is that something you have to physically?
It is not. It's something we do on the computer, or you can do it on your phone as well,
Okay.
but you can't, at the ATM, you won't get that, right?
Yeah.
So just plan on doing it on your phone or at home, on your computer.
You know, if we're going to, you know, if you're going to take something out, going to go run to the ATM for whatever, then I'll move the money to the checking account,
Okay.
and then just take it out to the ATM through the checking.
Right.
All right.
So, my friends, please understand, I know that right now you're learning. We've been doing a lot of stuff. You can do this. This is not rocket science. You can do this. All you got to do is just stick with it and just keep up on it. And when you find yourself in a situation where you have questions, if you don't pick up the phone, I'm coming to your house, I'm gonna yell at you. You need to call so that we can keep you on track. We're dead serious about this stuff. You can do it. We've seen a lot of families do it. Chris?
Well, we were doing one category with, on my budget for vet bills, and we just kept going, okay, but then they have a heartworm pill, and that has to be figured out. And then Kashi's got a pain medicine, she's got, I mean, it just kept adding things to the vet bill. And I feel like these are kind of, these budgets are a work in progress because
They
you're
are.
going into it with a certain earnestness, but I doubt that everything
Right.
is in there.
Something's gonna come up.
And
Right.
you know, that's very insightful. Please understand, you've been doing this 5 whole weeks, guys, all right? You're not going to be experts. And it's going to change, it's going to adjust. But after a few months, you're going to be 95% there. After 11 months, 10 or 11 months, you're going to be 100% there. We forgot stuff too.
Yeah.
It is a living, breathing document, this budget is. And you got to pay attention to it. That is what keeps you out of financial trouble. So exactly what Chris said, man, you're looking at just the veterinarian area and you see different things. It's the same throughout the entire budget. Is it worth the effort? Oh my gosh, my friends, yes. It is worth every minute of it. Don't let this push you to the wayside. I can't tell you how many times we have people come back to our class and they'll say, man, you know, we just got off track, we want to get restarted again. Don't get off track. Stick with it. Come back to the class again. Pamela's joined me a couple times now, haven't you?
I have.
And it just reinforces it. Do you know?
I had a friend who took the class and he said that he almost gave up like after 3 months, and he's an engineer and he wasn't coming out with the same numbers.
Right.
And so he was really frustrated, and then he said the next month it was like to the T, and since then he's like, you cannot give up, like you won't get it right away, and
No.
things come up and you're short and you're.
That's exactly right.
Now he says like he is really faithful to it and he's like
Yep.
happier.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
It changes. It just changes everything.
Around stressed and grumpy.
You know that? I love that. But that's the truth, guys. That's the truth.
You know, and the one thing, like you said about, you know, only the heartworm pill. So, you know, let's say they're kind of pricey. Let's just say it's, you know, $60 that price. So, but you remember that when for your vet thing, you're going to divide that by 12. Now, for what you say, okay, we're going to need to increase this by $2. You don't have to increase the whole vet thing for $60 every month. But so as you get them, you'll like, okay, we're going to have to pay this one, so we'll pay this. Now we're going to, but for next year, we're going to up this up $2 or $3. And eventually, and that's why the memory stick is so good, because you just go in and change it.
It's so simple.
But remember, if it comes,
Deciding which dogs we're gonna keep.
there you go. But just remember, if you add in one category, you had to subtract from somewhere else.
Right.
Well, after I looked at it, I said, I'm sorry, Kashi, you're going to have to die.
We don't recommend letting the pets die. If there's a budget issue, let it go.
Elderly and expensive.
That's right.
That's right.
Want that expensive pain meds. I'm sorry, you just don't fit in the budget.
Has this been helpful? You get a look at it? Okay, good. All right. Now we're gonna make a transition. Let me do this. Let's look at this. Here's a quick summary of what we've done so far. First thing we did was you hired a contractor, meaning make sure that you have somebody that you're accountable to, somebody that you're working with. Karen is my contractor. She keeps me straight. We also include God in ours. We're people of faith. We believe very strongly that if we include God in operating and managing His finances, we're going to be better off. And let me tell you, it works every time. Then we drew up the plan. Oh my gosh, we've spent 3.5 weeks on that, right? We talked about the budget, putting the money together, managing that money in a way that not only give you some good peace in your heart, but help you eliminate debt, be able to get on track for the life that you'd like to have. Now, we talk about pouring the foundation. Does anybody remember what the foundation is of this plan? Go back to week 2. But does anybody remember what it was? Savings. All right, the savings is critical. All right, we're going to talk about that right now, just a little bit, just talk about it. Now, please, please, please understand this. If you neglect your savings account, you will find yourself never getting out of debt. You must have a savings account. You put a little bit of money in it all the time. Now, the Bible says this in Proverbs 21:20, and I think it's very important. It says, there is precious treasure and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man swallows it up. In other words, You need to pay attention to what's going on in with your money. Put some money away. Set it aside because you're going to need it someday. Start planning. So your financial plan, remember we've got an emergency savings section in there. You need to start thinking about how much you can put aside. You start off slowly. Remember, begin saving a little bit each month. Your initial emergency savings goal is $1,000. $1,000. Do you remember when we talked about the debt cycle in week 2? We said that $1,000 is usually, it'll cover the majority of things that happen in your life that are unexpected. So you should have that in there. Then you continue to save all the time, putting money aside. You want to try to get up to 1 month's living expenses. In other words, when you got down to the bottom of your financial snapshot, you knew how much it cost you to live for 1 month. You need to have that in there. Why? Because what happens if they cut your hours at work, or you have an injury, or you become laid off for a little while? Something like that happens. You need to be able to have at least 1 month's of savings set aside. But ideally, you will have 3 months living expenses set aside for the unexpected that can come up. Yes, Pamela?
That's in addition to the 1,000?
It is not. This is all inclusive. That 3 months is everything that we want you to get. And as Karen shared with you, we talked about this earlier in the class, we've hit that a couple times, but then life happens. But the beauty of it is when life happens, we're ready. We're ready. And that's where I want you to be. So pay attention to savings. If you can only put away $5 a month, do it. But do what you can within the context of the budget, okay? All right. Now, I'd like to point out one more thing before I move on. This is not investments. Investments is not your savings. Savings is in a credit union or a bank of your choice, liquid money that you're ready to get to. Investments is a whole nother category. Yes, ma'am.
And so earlier you said that you had your savings for your trip, so this is not a vacation fund.
No.
Correct, it is not. Great question. Janelle said this is not a vacation fund. That is true. We have, if you look under the entertainment category on your financial snapshot, you notice the category for vacation. And that's what that area is.
And we set up a savings account with an automatic bank draft that goes in there. Now, you have that as set aside for vacation, but if something terribly happened, at least there's some more money to pull from if you had to. You
betcha.
just kind of forget the vacation.
Okay, is everybody with us on that? Savings is very important. All right. Now we're going to talk about putting up the walls. This is one of my favorite parts. Everything's my favorite, isn't it? Gracious, I got this next section on putting up the walls. Remember we talked about this. It's eliminating debt. By a show of hands, how many of you would like to be debt-free for the rest of your life? I'm telling you, you can do this. Please understand, Karen and I have been on a journey, and we're getting there. We've paid off a lot of debt using exactly what we're going to teach you today. You can all do this. So let's get rocking on eliminating debt. The Bible says this in Proverbs 22:7, and I think it's so true. Just as the rich rule over the poor, the borrower is servant to the lender. Proverbs 22:7. You know how you can tell that if you're in debt, how you can tell that you're a servant to the lender? Miss a payment. You will have people call you. Hey, how you doing? Where's the payment? You'll be getting letters in the mail. Where's the payment? You see, you're giving away a little bit of yourself in that situation, and you don't need to be in debt. I love what Romans 13:8 says. Let no debt remaining, let no debt remain outstanding except the continuing debt to love one another. The Bible's very clear about debt. We shouldn't have it. We should be clear of that, and you can all do that. Now, you might be in a little bit of trouble today. I don't know. Some of you are. I know some of you shared with me, and some of you are in a struggle a little bit about getting rid of that debt. But I love what this verse of the Bible says in Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you a future and a hope. A future and a hope. So no matter where you are today, please understand you don't have to stay there long. And we're going to talk to you right now about getting rid of that debt. I'm going to show you a video. This is the Hildebrand family. the Hildebrand, I believe this is on CNN, and they are talking about the debt that they have, and I'd like you to kind of watch it. We're going to do this in 2 sections, but I'd like to have them share their story with you.
Thank you.
The family favorite at the Hildebrands dinner table? Egg noodles, crackers.
This is going to be good.
And cream of chicken soup.
This is Mama's cracker casserole.
A meatless dish. One small way this family of 5 dug themselves out of a mountain of debt. More than twice their annual income, $123,000. The result of 16 years of overspending.
It didn't happen overnight. It was just a few thousand every year.
The tipping point?
We had been assessed about $1,544 in finance charges just for 1 month on those 11 credit cards.
To be honest with you, I was ashamed that I let it get to that point. You know, I mean, we've always been big dreamers.
But the dreamers didn't take the easy way out, ruling out bankruptcy and opting instead to pay off their debt.
It was my debt. I made the mistakes. I made the responsibility.
Candy cut the budget so much that at the end of the month, she often had less than $5 to spare.
Wow. Wow, what do you think? Are they in a bind? $123,000 in debt, doesn't include their mortgage. More than double their annual income. They're in trouble. They're in trouble. So what are some things that you heard on here that you think are good ideas? What do you think?
Decrease their food spending.
Decrease their food spending, right? Made some adjustments there. You can tell that they took control of what they were doing, watching their budget. Do you remember she said they had 11 credit cards, 1 month of interest, finance charges, over $1,500. Ouch. Okay, ouch. Now, the question is, what are some things they might consider doing to be able to relinquish this debt? Chris?
Well, I don't know about, I would get rid of some credit cards or call them and try to get a payment plan going.
Okay, maybe get a payment plan going, maybe reduce the amount of credit cards they have, right, to do that. Good point. What else? Stop spending. There you go. Bing, 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 bing. All right. Stop putting money out. All right. So let's look at it. They got too much money going out. Could they increase the money coming in? Maybe they could do that. Let's look at what this family did.
Plenty of people have $1,200 worth of debt. Lots of people have $12,000 worth of debt. But to have $120,000 worth of debt, how can you possibly pay that back?
We quit eating out. And that was right away. We quit buying some of our favorite brand name things that were costlier. We would go down to the generic. And actually, as I was kind of running out of my favorite brand name things, I would add water to stretch it.
The Hildebrands saved $70 a month doing their own car repairs, $250 by stretching leftovers and eating dehydrated hash browns. They saved $150 a month by buying at thrift stores, $200 by cutting their own hair. No more CDs and DVD purchases, only essentials. Russell got a second job, working nights as a janitor in addition to his day job as a chemist, sleeping only a few hours a night.
Some nights I admit I don't think I was going to make it, but I knew one thing, that whether I made it or not, I was going to give it the best try that I could give.
To save on gas money, he slept in his car.
I put my hood on, and then I would just put my pillow over and snuggle in for the night.
Twin daughters Holly and Heidi put together a newsletter and sold it to relatives.
Wow. Wow, what do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
That's dedication.
Dedication. Whitney says dedication. Isn't that right? They were serious about it, Chris.
I don't get the sleeping in the car bit.
They didn't have enough money for gas going back and forth. Maybe his extra job was at a distance. He had 2 jobs. He took on an extra job to be able to pay for things, so he elected to do that.
He went from his one job to the next job and then just slept in his car and then went on to the next job and didn't go home.
Wow.
Pretty
to
tough.
save the gas money.
Notice that they stopped DVD and CD purchases. That was $200 a month. What do you have in your life that is something that is frivolous, if you would,
Never.
that you can cut out? Remember earlier in the class, we talked about Starbucks coffee, $4 coffee, right? And doing that. Is that commitment what they did? They even allowed somebody they cut their own hair. That ain't happening in the Cosgrove branch. I'm here to tell you. That part ain't going. We'll do something else. Chris?
my hair stands straight up. So. Part of the whole sleeping in the car thing, you know, I mean, you know, I would probably buy a motorcycle. You know.
But then you're buying something.
Yeah,
so you're. It's what? Well, we don't know their life situation, but for them, this worked. What we're talking about is a family that has done whatever they need to do, right, to be able to try to get themselves out of debt. Now, commitment means this: the willingness to go over, under, or through any obstacle that prevents you from achieving your goal. Their goal was to be debt-free. Their goal was to do that, and they did whatever it took to make that happen. Yes, ma'am?
I'm impressed because I believe 99 people out of 100 just declare bankruptcy.
That's exactly right. And they noticed they didn't take the easy way to do it. You see, when you make a commitment, when you're using money or borrowing money, you're making a commitment to that lender that you're going to be a person that is going to be paying that back. It's an integrity issue to do that. I applaud that. I think any chance that we get to be able to do it on our own rather than taking another route, that says a lot about where you are as a person to be able to do that. It does not mean that there's not situations that bankruptcy is appropriate. Some things are out of your hands, medical issues certainly. Those types of things come up sometimes. But look at the situation and try to do it yourself first if you can. It's very wise to do that.
I thought the thing that was impressive is that the daughters made a newsletter and sold it to relatives. Now, we all know if your niece or nephew said, I'm making a newspaper, will you buy one from me, Auntie? Your answer is yes, I will. I thought that was very creative. The other thing was that the children were involved. They weren't left ignorant of the fact of the situation their parents were in. They knew what they were in. So that by getting your children involved in that and making them just lay it out bare lined on there. Kids are very resourceful. You're looking at two younger people right there. If your parents said, look, we are really tight with money, so we're just not going to spend any extra, your answer would be okay. And then you would know not to ask for the nearest, greatest gym shoes that are out there on the market because mom and dad can't. So if you involve your your children, that really says a lot for you and it says a lot for them because they will learn from it.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just going to say they'll learn from it and that will take them to adulthood.
That's exactly right. Don't you wish that your parents would have taught you these skills? My parents taught us nothing. Only thing we knew is we had powdered milk, which I thought was the norm, and we had bread and gravy sometimes when things were tight. I didn't know, I was just a kid, but I didn't learn any skills. We had to learn that as an adult. I want all the children to learn this as early as they can. It's okay to have them sit in with you. It's okay to do that. It's okay. All right, let's move on. Here's some thoughts. We're on page 40 in your workbook. Go ahead and turn to that page. All right, on page 40, here's some thoughts. Remember this, savings is the priority before debt elimination. Make minimum payments to debt till you have $1,000 saved. Now, please understand why I'm doing this. I know that you're paying interest on the other debt. I know that. But if you don't have $1,000 in savings to break the debt cycle, you'll always create new debt. So first of all, I want you to focus on the savings. Any found money, what I mean by that is if you have a garage sale or you put something on Craigslist or wherever, if you are able to generate income, I want you to be able to put that money first to savings, then to debt reduction. So the priority is savings first to $1,000, okay? Also remember this, it's not either or. Once you get $1,000 in savings from whatever sources you have, you will always continue to put some money into savings and then you'll start paying more on your debt reduction. It's not like you only do savings then you only do debt. You can split it up between the two, but never forget the importance of savings. Questions about that? All right. All right, I'm going to teach you something that I wish that Mike Cosgrove would have invented, and everybody would have had to pay me a commission to use it. But I didn't. This is as old as the hills. It's called the Debt Snowball Worksheet. How many of you have heard of the Debt Snowball? Good. All right, a number of you. That's great. This works. This works. Let's talk about it. It's on page 41. Now, this is the Debt Snowball. Remember, you can go to the website and download as many of these as you want. But you can also use the ones that are in your book to make copies of it. Let's take a look at this example. here's some debts on the side: a Visa card, MasterCard, furniture store, auto loan, and a home mortgage. Are those uncommon debts in today's society? It's really not, is it? So here you can put some contact information if you'd like. And here's the payoffs in this column: the minimum payment that is requested by the company, the interest rate that you pay right here. Now, here's the process of making this work for you. First thing I want you to do is list your debts from lowest payoff to highest payoff. Not interest, but lowest payoff to highest payoff. So some of you are going, why don't I pay off the highest interest rates first? Let me tell you this. You need to get something in the win column. If you decide that you're going to pay off this one right here, that's 19.99, and you owe $6,200, it's going to take a while, right? But if you can get some wins at the beginning and you can knock this one out, let me tell you, you get that momentum going and it pays off for you big time. Plus, the interest rate becomes less important as you pay money on the principal through this process. You'll see that in just a moment. So you're going to pay it from lowest to highest payoff. You pay the maximum on the lowest balance, and you make minimum payments to the remaining ones here. Just make minimum payments. So pay whatever you can on the first one, highest amount, and make minimum payments to the second. Now this is very important. I want to make sure that you all get this concept. Please note that once you know what the minimum payments are committed to debt, that amount will never change on the bottom. In other words, when I retire a debt, when I pay something off, I don't take that amount of the payment out of this and put it in entertainment or somewhere else. I leave every penny of this, in this example, $1,265.98. I leave every penny of that in this process to eliminate the debt quicker. You'll see how this works as we go on. Now, at a minimum payment of $1,125, for this example, I am assuming that you are adding no additional money to this. And in this case, the Visa people are saying that you need to pay $11.25 a month to pay off this debt of $375. Now, is that going to take a while if I just pay $11.25 a month? It is going to take a little while, isn't it? Now, remember, while I'm paying this one off, I'm still making minimum payments to the rest, and the payoff balances here will continue to go down as I'm going through this process. You're always making payments. You're not forgetting about any debt. Are there any questions about that right now? All right. Okay, so I'm paying $11.25, paid off of $375. Pow! I knock it out. I got to have some fun. You know what? If you're not having fun in your job, you're in the wrong job. So we got Batman on there. Now look, it took 39 months to pay off that first debt at $11.25 a month. Was that a painful 39 months? Oh my gosh, yes it is. So if we can add more money to this process, we want to do that, and I'll show you that later on. All right, so I got the Visa card paid off. You're doing great. I want you to celebrate. When you get something paid off, you celebrate. What I recommend at this stage, is it's your first one, I recommend one Dr. Pepper and 2 straws, and you sit down and say, baby, we did good, okay? That's how you celebrate. You don't take $1,000 out of savings and go on a trip. All right, so remember now, you snowball this down. You take that $11.25 and you roll it down to the next debt, snowball. When snowball goes down a hill, it gets bigger as it goes down, right? So I don't take that $11.25 and keep it or put it somewhere else. I roll it down to the next debt. So now I'm increasing this payment to the MasterCard from $15.50 to $26.75, right? Now the payment here, remember, this is still continuing to go down. These are continuing to decrease as I'm making the payments on them. So now at $26.75, I'm at 39 months. Kapow, the MasterCard's paid off. We went from 39 to only 42. You see it picked up the pace a little bit, right? Got a little bit quicker. Now I roll that money down to $26.75. Remember, this figure stays the same. I roll this $26.75 onto the furniture store. So instead of paying the minimum payment of $186, I'm paying $212.75. Does everybody see what we're doing here? All right, so $212.75. I owe $1,280 on this debt for the furniture store. In 48 months, 4 years, my furniture store is paid off. I've retired 3 debts in 4 years. I've got that done. I roll the $212 down to the car payment. All right, I owe $3,643, but look, instead of paying $313.24, because of the snowball, this $212.75 is going on the principal that I owe. So I put that on there. I've got that paid off. 55 months, zap, I've got the car paid off. How long do you keep that car? Till the wheels fall off. Good job.
Right.
You keep that thing as long as it's running. Take care of it, manage it. Like I always tell people, if you need the new car smell, you go to Walmart, you buy it for $2, you hang it from your window or from your mirror. All right, now, people don't think about this, but please understand, your mortgage is a debt. But now, we owe $141,000 on this house. I can rotate that money down to pay in the $739. I take $525.99. I put it on the principal of the mortgage. Now I'm paying $1,265. I'm at 55 months. Now look, celebrate. The house is paid off. You can do this much quicker than you ever expected to do. Remember, you have no other debt at this stage. We've already paid it off. We're paying this off. You have everything else set up, so you're paying off all the debt. Now you're at your house, you're knocking that out. When you pay off your house, here's how you celebrate. You pick up the phone, you call the Cosgroves, we book a flight to Hawaii. You pay, we go. We'll have a great time together, all right? But you see, all that money's now yours. And because you have a budget and you are putting money away in categories, you will never be in debt again. That's the value. That's the payoff. This takes some time, 195 months. Let's look at this. You're debt-free in 16 years and 2 months. Can that be quicker?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It depends on how you're budgeting and how you set priorities. But you can add a little bit of money to it to accelerate it. In this example, let's take a look. If we just made minimum payments only, you went through that first bill, the Visa card, it was paid off in 39 months, and it hurt every month. It took the most time to clear off that small first debt. But look at this, even at minimum payments, all the debt was paid off in 16 years and 2 months. You saved, drum roll please, you saved, thank you, $48,317 in interest. $48,000. Oh my gosh. That's money, guys. That's real money. And this is just minimum payments. You add another 25 bucks to this, it's not a lot of money. 25 bucks cost of a couple pizzas, right? You pay off the Visa in 11 months, not 39. All the debt's paid off in 15 years and 8 months. You save over $50,000. $50,000. But let's just add a lousy 50 bucks to that, okay? $50. We pay off the Visa card in 6 months, not 39. Paid off in 15 years and 3 months. You saved over $53,000. Can you add more than $50? I don't know. But if it's a priority to you, and you look at what you can do like the Hildebrand family and make changes, you can knock this out quicker than you ever expected. That's what Karen and I had to do. We were in trouble financially. We needed to make changes, and we did. And it was tough. But you know what? It's worth every minute of it. We saved thousands, and you can too. My question to you is this: how bad do you want it? Are you committed? Are you willing to do what it takes to make this happen? If you are, you'll be in a debt-free situation quicker than you ever expected. Ever expected. Now, this debt snowball is on my website. You can go in there, type in the numbers, play with it. Look at how much you can add. Look at how many months it'll take to pay it off. Now, you can't save it on the computer, but you can sure print it. Start playing with the computer. How much do we charge for that? Nothing. I take chocolate chip cookies. You guys know my fees, all right? Chocolate chip cookies are good. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing what you can do. You got to think about this. Now, are there any questions about just that debt snowball? Because I'm taking you to the next level. We're going to pay off your house.
Did that answer your question, Janelle, of what to do with that debt?
Yeah.
You see where you roll it down? Okay, so that was a great question. So you see the power in that. It works so well. Again, not rocket science. Pamela.
My debts are a lot.
Yes.
And anyway, my greatest debt is $7,600.
Right.
And I am paying $20 a month.
That's right. And if I remember correctly, there's no interest because we worked this out, right?
Right.
May I share a little bit of your story? May I do that? Pamela and I have been working together for quite some time now. And we've been working through her debt and making this happen. And she's had some very unusual things happen in her life that have created a difficult situation. But I got to tell you, this lady's working her rear end off to get this thing right. Talking with companies, working out ways to be able to make this happen. She's got interest removed from some of these bills. You see, you got to be involved. And some of these debts, like this one right here, is $20 a month. And what was the principal?
It was
About
$7,600.
about $7,600 is about where we were at. So she's paying that down. The money's going to things that have some interest on them. But she started to change her life in ways that are very dramatic. And this debt is being paid off. But it's not a lot of debt. If you think about it, she's got a good job, just started that this year, and that's starting to work. But she's focused on eliminating that debt. So you can do it, right?
Absolutely. And I worked it out at my salary now,
Right.
which will change.
Correct.
However, that $7,600 debt at paying $20 a month until that snowball finally hits, I will have that paid off December of 2017.
There you go, just a couple years.
$20 a
At
month.
$20 a month. You see, Pamela, like all of us, we need to be focused on the reality of what's going on in our lives. We got to know. She's in control of this now because she's got her budget binder. She's got her debt snowball. She knows how to do it. You have to do the same thing. You can do it. There's absolutely no doubt. We've had hundreds and hundreds of families come through this, and you can do it. Thank you, Pamela, for letting me share that. Questions? Questions? All right. You guys are easy this week. Okay. Okay. This is a question I get all the time. Pay off the house. How do I make that happen? First of all, let me tell you this. There is nothing more freeing than paying off your home. You own that. It is yours. And it helps so much in your finances to get it done as soon as you can. Now, Karen and I have, our home here is paid off. It took us some work to do that. We did it by using this debt snowball that we just showed you. We were committed to making it happen. When we got that paid off, I thought they ought to send dancing girls and people playing music and party, maybe a street parade or something. We got this little thing in the mail, and it just said, hey, your loan's paid off. I'm like, well, okay, I want more, you know. But let me tell you, it felt darn good to get that done. If we can do it, you can do it, all right? Now, let's talk about that. First of all, for your consideration, there are 3 primary ways that will help you accelerate paying off your home. Now, please understand this. I'm going to talk about paying off this house, but all this stuff has to happen before you do this. You're going to leave here tonight, you're going to say, man, I want to get this paid off, let's start tomorrow. But if you don't have the savings and your other debt is not eliminated, don't advance this at this point. But there are some things you can do now that will help accelerate it other than taking cash out of your pocket. Let's talk about those items. First of all, refinancing. A lot of publicity about it right now, right? A lot of publicity about refinancing. What is the focal point of refinancing your home? Where do you save the money at? The interest rate, right? They're saying, look, if you've got a 4.75 or a 5 point whatever, we can lower that down to 3.5% or even lower in some cases, right? So refinancing. Now, let's talk about that just a little bit. First of all, is refinancing free?
No.
No, it costs money to do that. On average, in this nation, it's $1,650 to refinance. Some places higher, some places lower. So you got to understand that it's going to take time to recoup that money that you're putting out. So here's what some people will do, and I encourage caution in this. Yes, I want to refinance. It's going to cost $1,650. I don't have that, so just roll that into the new mortgage. Now you're paying interest on the money that you were going to use to refinance on top of the loan. I encourage you to save up the money to pay the refinancing fee. Here's the next question. After you pay that fee, how long is it going to take you to recoup that based on the interest? So, if you are in the home that you are going to stay in for an extensive period of time, refinancing makes sense to do that. But if you're in a house and you're saying, well, I need to refinance because I'm paying 4.75, I get that to 3.5. Yeah, I know I'm selling the house in 4 years, but that's okay. I want to save money during that time. No, you don't, because you had to pay money out of pocket or you rolled it into the mortgage and you're going to pay that interest. It takes time to recoup that. So if you're planning on selling the home, refinancing may not be in your best interest. However, if you're in the house that you're going to stay in and you can save money on the interest, then refinancing fits into your budget, then you can go ahead and do that, all right? That's the first way to do it. Questions about refinancing?
Just to remember that when you refinance, most of the time you're refinancing, your 30 years is starting all over again, unless you happen to get one for a lot less, 15 years or so. But those are much more expensive. So most people refinance and start their whole 30 years all over again.
Right. You don't want to do that. Okay? You want to be cautious about it. If you're in this group, if you're getting ready to make a decision about that, come and talk to me. We'll go through your budget binder. We'll look at the pros and cons and evaluate it. The second way is what's called biweekly payments. You may have received from your lender in the mail, you may have received something said, hey, would you like to go on biweekly payments? We can help you do that. And I'm going to let Karen talk about that just a little bit on what we did with our homes here,
right,
without mentioning any banks in particular.
Oh,
but, yeah.
Criminals that they are. Okay. Well, at the time, we had our house here in New Mexico, plus we have this albatross around our neck called our house in Texas that we can't sell because their crisis hit about 2 years before New Mexico's, and of course we were coming back at that time, so we have a house we can't sell. But we have good renters, so that's okay. But anyway, we were looking at the time to how are we going to, let's look at this biweekly to see how that works. So we talked to a credit union owned our loan here in New Mexico, and the credit union was actually in Texas. So we called and talked to them. They charged, their fees were $100 one-time administrative fee. And then what they do is they take your mortgage and they split it in half. And your first payday, they take the first half, and the second payday, they take the second half. And then it's an automatic bank draft. And they do the debit fee, and theirs was only $2.95 each time. So that was about $5, $6 that they were going to do. But when you go into biweekly payments, you will save 7 years off your 30-year mortgage, because on biweekly you still have those 2 extra paydays in a year of where they're still taking the money. Well, they can only take the interest out of the 2, but on the third payday, on those 1 month that you have 3, they have to take all of that and put it against principal. So you actually get literally your one whole complete house payment. Like if it's $1,000, that whole $1,000 will come off principal at the end of the year. So because that's for the extra one. So you will save 7 years by just doing that. So we thought this is a great deal, and we did that. So we went ahead and did that on our house in New Mexico. So then we thought, well, let's look at the house in Texas and see if we can do it in that. That was owned by a major bank that I can't say anymore, and they outsourced it to a third-party company. So they had us call them, and so we called and talked to them. And they would do the same thing, split it into the 2, but theirs was a $4.95 fee each time. So now we're talking $10 more a month. And they didn't do the $100 administration fee. They took a fee each year for doing it, and it was one of your extra payments. That did not save me a bunch of money at all. So we said, no, we're just going to stay with let that go, and we're going to focus on our New Mexico house and do that. So we let that one ride. Now, when we did pay off this house, we contacted the savings and loan that had owned our mortgage and contacted them about refinancing then on our Texas house with them, because once we did that, then we went to biweekly payments on there with them as well.
It worked out very, very well. So biweekly payments are a good thing, but always just check your fees. Find out how much they charge per debit and how much they charge to set it up. Make sure you know, and you don't have to, by the way, you do not have to use the lender you have to set up biweekly payments. There are other organizations that will help set that up for you, but you need to check on their fees and make sure you do your homework. But it's not a bad thing.
But I will say it does make it easier when you split, like say that 1,000 and split it into 500 and 500 for budgeting. Sometimes that's a whole lot easier to take 500 out of 2 page A's than 1,000 out of 1. So that really can help you that way as well.
Okay. Now, here's another option, is making extra principal payments, paying extra on your home mortgage. Now, this is what you can do is you can send in whatever amount that you would like to send in to your lender and to have that come directly off the principal. Remember, the amount of interest you pay is based on the principal that you owe, the quantity. So here's the thing that you have to do first of all. If you are going to send in extra money to your one, just like our debt snowball, remember we got down to where we sent in a significant amount on the principal payment, but that doesn't mean you have to send that much. You can send $10, $25, whatever you want to it, anytime that you want to. But you must check with the lender to make sure that they accept it in a certain way and you do it the way they want it. I have a very good friend of mine that works in the ministry that for almost 9 years, him and his wife sent in an extra $200 a month, thinking it was coming off the principal, but it was being applied to interest. They didn't know that because they didn't do their homework. You call the company and say, look, I want to send in principal payments, how do you accept it? They may accept it in one check, and you write down in the memo line that says apply additional or excess to the principal. Some organizations will take 2 checks, one for principal and one for your regular payment. But you need to know how they accept it before you do anything. Now, by sending money in on extra principal payments, that comes directly off principal and you will accelerate the payoff. Now, before I go to the next slide, which is going to show you more about making extra principal payments and how this works, let me point this out. All 3 of these are good options if they're right for you. If you do all 3 of these and you're in the house that you're going to stay in for the long term, you can save a significant amount of money and knock this house mortgage out quicker than you can ever expect, and we'll be on the flight to Hawaii together. So you can make that happen. So none of these are bad. All of them are good if it's right for you. This is by far the easiest to do because there's no setup and there's no cost to you. But you got to be putting it in your budget to know how much you're going to spend. Questions about any of these 3 before I go on? Yes, ma'am.
Would that possibly anything like work for student loans if you've got a lot of students?
Student loans, I'm not as sure about. I'm not as knowledgeable on how that works, but I would assume that you can pay that off early as well. I know you can do it for a car payment as far as principal, but I'm not sure if you can do that on a student loan. Does anybody know offhand?
You can make extra payments.
You can make extra payments, so probably the same thing. Probably the same thing.
Thanks.
All right, now, here's what we're going to look at. This is a amortization chart. If you have a mortgage, you can call your insurance company or your mortgage company, and they'll send you one of these amortization tables. What this does is it tells you for each month and each payment how much your payment is, how much of that payment goes to principal, how much goes to interest, and the loan balance due. Now, you can also go to the website, our website, and you can type in the information, print out an amortization table right there. Easy thing to get. Now, you'll notice in our binder right here that we have one for our Texas house because we are sending in extra principal payments right now to pay that house off quicker. You can take a look at it. So here's the assumptions that we're making. This is a 30-year mortgage. They purchased the house at $200,000. The interest rate in this example is 6%. Do you guys think that the interest could ever go up on a house up to 6% again in the future? Oh yeah, let me tell you. And this is the first 12 months. So you go out, you find the house. This is it. This is the house I want. You got the white picket fence. You say, man, this is beautiful. I want to get the house. So the bill comes, you sign all the paperwork. The first month, you send in a payment. Because it is a fixed loan, you're going to send $11.99.10 every single month for 30 years if you're just making regular payments. So the first month you send in, let's say $1,200, $11.99.10. The principal that comes off your loan is $199.10. The bank pockets $1,000. Who's got the better deal? The bank. They should send you a Christmas card at least, something. So now I only owe $199,800.90. Ooh-wah. All right? But it's going to get better because after the first year we're going to be okay, right? So we come down here to 12 months. We should be rocking by now. So now I send in the $1,200. The principal, a whopping $210.33. I've been paying for a year on this house. I've only paid $2,456 in principal. The bank got $11,993 in interest. Why? Because this loan balance is still high. The quicker you get rid of that loan balance, the principal, the less you're going to pay in interest. So here's how that looks. Here's the last 12 months. You've been paying now for 29 years. Here's the last 12 months. Now, I look over here, I say, all right, here's the 349th payment. I'm still paying $11.99.10 a month. Now look what happens in principal. $1129.44 goes to the principal. The bank only gets $69.66. Why? Because you don't owe as much money. You don't owe as much. So my friends, here's the thing. The quicker you pay down the principal, the more money you save in interest, right? So let's go back to the first 12 months. I come back over here to the first 12 months and I'm sorry, let me back this up one. Let me just back this up. Notice the difference now. You're paying over almost 14 grand in principal is coming off. The bank only got $456 that year. So if I just bought a house and I can go back and I'm doing this budget that we've been talking about here for the last 5 weeks and I'm organized and I can send in extra money, shouldn't I do it as early as I can? Absolutely. So I look at this and I say, all right, Karen and I sit down, we have our money date. And we say, baby cakes, look, we got a little bit of money in here, we can send an extra $25 and we do that. Or 50 or 100 or 20, whatever. You send it whatever you can. You do it the way the lender tells you to do it, and then that is applied directly to this loan balance. So let me give you an example. Let's say that the third month here is an example. You have an additional $201.10. I'm using an example here. If I send that in actuality, I've made an entire principal payment. I've probably saved over $1,000 in interest by sending that in. Why? Because I've made an extra principal payment. The earlier you do it, the better. Does it have to be that amount? No. It could be $25, it could be $10, I don't care. You can pull the cushions out, move the Cheetos, find 50 cents, send it in. Okay? You can make this thing work. But guys, you got to get started as soon as you can get everything else taken care of. Remember, this is the last debt. You've snowballed down the remaining debt. Now you'll see in our amortization table where we have accelerated the payoff on this house, because now when we send in the principal, and we do that every month now, it moves this loan balance down. So I might be down here to 197, and I may only be on the 5th payment, but because I've sent in principal, I haven't had to send in all this interest. I haven't had to pay it. You're still making your payments, but you're saving all that interest. And the house is yours quicker than you can imagine. Questions? So here's what we've got. Oops. Prepaying your mortgage, $200,000 house is 6%. By the 30 years, people come to me all the time. They say, Mike, I wish I could afford a $500,000 house. You can. You buy a $200,000 house, you make every single payment, you've paid almost $500,000 for that house. Don't do that. Okay? All right, so 30 years, I pay $11.99. Total cost is $431,000. How much did I save? Not a penny. But if I can just go from $11.99, I can increase that by making one bi-monthly, one extra payment a year like Karen was talking about. I can send that in. Now I just saved $87,789 off that mortgage by doing bi-weekly payments. That's in this example. Now you've got all the other debt paid off, so maybe you can pay more. I want to turn that into a 15-year mortgage. I just send in $1,688. Now I save $127,800 off my mortgage. You have no other debts, my friends. Can't you apply it to this? Yeah. You want to turn that into a 10-year mortgage? Send in $2220. You save $165,000 in interest. Do you think you'd be better served for retirement? Man, you'd be in great shape, guys. The earlier, the better. The earlier, the better. Questions? Yes, ma'am. No, please ask questions, please.
Can you go back to the slide where you were at with the snowball?
The snowball one?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to take a journey back here. Bear with me. All right. This one or the figure one?
The figures.
All right, we're moving back. I don't do this for just anybody, you know? All right.
So my question is so I'd always been taught that you pay off the high interest, but you said no. You said go
That's right.
by amounts.
That's right.
So like say for example, like my student loan I've been paying since I graduated 12 years ago.
Okay.
$120 a month, and I owe like $23,000 from college.
Okay.
So, but the interest is so low. It's like 2% maybe.
That's correct.
And so I'm not, so I had always been told, like when I went to buy my first house, they were like, the guy's like, don't pay off your student loan. Like let that be the last one because the interest is so low. And so you're saying no to just still try to pay it off?
You bet. The way that I do this, there's two schools of thoughts. All right, let me put on the financial advisor hat. As a financial advisor or an accountant at different times, they're going to say, go by the amount of interest that you owe. But if you're snowballing principal, which is what we're doing, the interest becomes less and less important the higher it goes. Okay. What we want to do is start the snowball. To start the snowball, we have to pay something off to roll that money down. So although I see the value of talking about the interest rate, the reality is the quicker you start the snowball, the less interest rate becomes an issue because you're making principal payments so rapidly. So it works out better that way. So yes, I would recommend that you just do it in this fashion. It works. I can't tell you how many families come back to me and say, man, this is great. You got to get something in the win column. You've got to be able to look and say, look, we are making progress, because otherwise you get burned out. Karen and I used to put ours on our refrigerator, and we would watch it. We'd say, look, okay, here's where we are. Here's what's moving. Here's how we're doing. And we would look at that every day. Before I opened it up and ate way too much, I look at this thing and say, look, we're making progress, all right, and making that happen. So get something in the win column. Great question.
So your student loan will be in that list because it's going by the amount, not by the interest rate. So your $27,000 is probably sitting there above your house. And
well, it's like at $12,000 now because it's been 12 years, but or it was like 20, but it'll still be on the list.
It'll be on the list. It just won't be the first thing you pay off. You'll be the smallest one so that that one's gone, and now you have some money to roll. Otherwise, it'll take you years to pay that, and nothing's rolling.
I'm like, it barely moves.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I've been out of college how long, and it's barely moving. So that's really going to help me.
It's going to help you significantly. You'll see, you will be amazed. Once you start doing this, we had no idea. We thought, okay, this will be great. We'll do it. We thought it was going to be good. But we had no idea how quickly our debt was gone. It just really happened. But you just got to get focused on it and make it work. And you don't want to increase any new debt. Don't get any new debt.
There's the key.
If you're thinking about going out and buying a new motorcycle today, now's not the time to do it. All right? Don't do that. Stop spending a little bit, okay? Other questions? All right. Go to the calculators. www.tn for True North, ABQ for Albuquerque.org. You got all of our stuff right there. You can download all of the forms that you have. You can use the calculators, all that stuff. Price is right. Go out there and get it. Yes, go ahead, Maria.
When you were on this path and when you were working really hard at it, were there instances of grace where just something just happened to come in, or things?
You know, Maria, great question. Maria said, during this time when things were really, really hard, were there things that happened by grace that we believe happened from God in order to make this work? Absolutely. Guys, sometimes on paper, this didn't work out for us, that it would happen this quickly. But things would happen where stuff would sell, or people would gift us something, not necessarily money, but something that we would use that we didn't have to buy, something that we could get. I got to tell you this, it was hard. It was a hard journey to be able to do this, to dig out of the debt we had. We had to be focused to make it happen. But the difference is Karen and I were committed. We weren't just talking about it. We weren't just saying, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we got our debt paid off? Well, let's go out to dinner. We got focused, we got locked in, and we realized that short-term pain for a long-term gain was worth it. And it took us a year to get this thing rocking the way it was, and we were committed to it till it was done. And now, even as a missionary, which you don't make a lot of money being a missionary, we have a very comfortable life. And it's because we're able to stay focused. But yes, to answer your question, things happen. That's why I always encourage you to include God. Just include God in what you're doing and make him part of it, because he's a pretty powerful dude. He can make it happen.
And we looked for every chance we could sell something, we sold it.
We sold stuff.
You know, if we could sell something for $20 or we could sell something for $600, that went right into the debt snowball. And that may have knocked out one whole bill, and now with that amount rolled on. So we just kept, I mean, Mike, I'm telling you, when Mike would have a garage sale, I had to check everything over because things came off the wall that were mine, because you know, my stuff's trash and his stuff is good stuff. So everything of mine would end up in the garage sale. I have to pull things out of there going, no, I want to keep that. So, you know, he got really ambitious when we were selling stuff. We were always looking for things that we could sell to just knock out one more bill. Because once you get with that, there's nothing greater than knocking that out and rolling the next thing in. And now we're at the point, you know, when we're working on this Texas house. Now we've bought it in 2002, and we have refinanced it. We've gone to biweekly payments, and we're sending extra money. And we calculated out on the calculators, and we'll have it paid off in 3 years. We will have 2 houses paid off. So it does work, but you have to go for it. You do.
And you can do it. We got caught up in the wave of success. And when you get that feeling, when you start this thing and you get going on it and you start seeing that success, all of a sudden you'll be like, let's sell that. Let's get rid of it. Let's not do that today. Let's change that. Let's not take this vacation. Let's make these changes. Because we are 57. We started this 8 years ago, and we're just paying off the last debt, which is that house in Texas. It was work to make it happen, but we didn't suffer. Yes, maybe we only went out to eat twice a month, and we went to someplace inexpensive. Okay. Maybe we got a lot of our entertainment from the library. Good. Yes, we cut cable. Yes. We did the things that we looked at as wants and not needs. And when you can do that and you get the momentum going, there'll be nothing stopping you. Nothing. And the foundation is as simple as a 3-ring binder. And oh, by the way, writing things down every day. Amen? All right, that's what you got to do. You got to write it down every day.
We've bought cars and we've bought campers and we have bought things along the way without hindering what we're paying, because we had money in savings to do it. So we haven't paid over $3,000 for a car in probably the last 4 cars.
That car that's sitting outside here right now, we got it because it was broken down. We paid $200 for it, for the vehicle. We've had it now how many years?
About 4 years.
And what we did is we purchased an engine to put in it, which is way cheaper than a car. And we just drive it. And yeah, right now the air conditioning defroster and stuff doesn't work real well. We don't care. We're not going back in debt. I'm not buying another new car. I don't want to go there again. But you see, we're willing to make that sacrifice. And it's been a great car.
I had that happen on my car. I know how to fix that. So
oh, do you?
Is it the router switch?
It's a button,
it's
so
a
maybe
push
you can come
button.
help me out.
The top road stopped
All right,
working.
Chris, you see?
The vent works.
That's Grace coming up. I don't have to buy it. So you see, Chris is going to come over and help me.
Well, maybe. We'll see.
We'll see.
Come over and help you, whether we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. You see, my friends, understand, this is doable. You can do this. Everybody in this room can do this. You just got to get to the basics and the foundation. And you got to do the things that we're doing. And by the way, we're here to help you and make that happen. If you do this, I guarantee you success. I guarantee it.
Our very first, when we decided we wanted to go to Netflix, we had got experienced by it. Our son was visiting, and he got it on his PS3, which was fine. But then he took his PS3 and left after his vacation. So we're like, shoot, how are we going to do this? Now this was early on. So we just happened to mention in a class that we were looking if anybody had a PS3 because we were looking for used ones just so we get Netflix back. Well, the very next week, one of the ladies came. She goes, "This was my son's original Wii. He's gone off in college. Here, you can have it." Well, it picked up Netflix, so there you go. So that's, you can. All you need to do is ask. Throw it out there. Somebody's got something you need sitting in their garage, their closet, their drawer that they were going to just pitch anyway. So never be afraid to ask.
And when somebody asks you or you hear about somebody in need, if you can help them, help them. Just do it. Just say, "Look, I can make that happen. Let's do that." We're there for each other. We can help each other and do wonderful things together. So great point, Chris. Thanks for bringing that up. Okay. Stay out of debt. Page 42. Here's the things. You got to communicate with your spouse. You got to live by your spending plan. My friends, please understand you got to live by this thing. You can't just talk about it. You got to do it. Be sure and pay attention to your savings. Now, this is all written out on page 42. You don't have to take notes. Turn to that page. Be realistic about what a need is or a want is. A need is food, clothing, shelter, and for me, motorcycles. No, not really. Food, clothing, shelter. Yeah, me and Zach, don't let advertising sway you. Can that get into your pocketbook? People are trying to separate you from your money all the time. Be content with what you have. Be content with what you have. If you've got it and it's working, don't go out there and buy the newest, biggest, brightest, shiniest. Stick with what you've got for now while you're working on trying to get out of debt. Learn to say no more often. Let's practice. Come on, this is a tough one. Everybody repeat after me. No.
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 That's it. That's the whole course. You can do that. You're home free, all right? You see, here's what I want you to get to. I want you to be free to fulfill the dreams that you have and to serve the kingdom of God. I want you to be able to reach outside of where you are and be able to do more. I don't want money to be a burden. And you can do that by just following the course and making that happen as far as debt. Here's your homework. Everybody grab it. Top of the page, top of the table. Pass them out. First thing you're going to do, you're going to have a money date. Anybody surprised by that? You're going to continue to update your budget notebook daily. Please listen to this. You got to start writing it down. I don't know what it's going to take. Maybe you got to hook something around your finger, a ribbon or something to remind you. I don't care, whatever it takes. If you're struggling with it, call me. I'll put you on my to-call list and I'll give you a buzz. I want you to organize your debt snowball this week. You can do it on the website or you can do it with the hard copy. But I want you to write down every single debt in order from lowest to highest and fill every category so you know exactly where you are now. Bring that with you next week. I want you to ask yourself, how are you going to start finding some money? Is there something you can sell? Is there something that you cannot buy that you're thinking about doing right now? What can you do in your budget right now to make those decisions that show that you're committed to getting rid of that debt and increasing your savings? I want you to bring any questions you have next week. Let me tell you something. Next week is critical. Do not miss next week. We're going to tie this together. You bring your questions and let's make it happen. Do not miss next week. They're probably thinking about that right now, pulling your hair out. All right. Good night tonight. Got some good things. All right. We got a lot of things happening and we're going to go forward from here. Now, please remember, and I'm going to say this again next week, just because the class ends next week, you guys are no way, shape, or form done with this course because you're going to come back for dessert nights. Once a month we get together, we talk about things. You got my phone number. We're going to get together. We're going to keep rocking. Let me go ahead and pray for you and then we'll go out for the day. My dear Father, Lord, thank you for this evening. Thank you for the hearts of these people that want to change where they are today to be able to not only have a better life, but Lord, to be able to honor you and to be able to help others and do those things that you say are important to us. So Father, let's move forward today. Bring us all back safely next week. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
God bless you guys. Have a wonderful night.